What is happening, great people? It's Zangieff, your Russian mate from Russia, and today I would like to talk to you about what actually has changed for us Russian people within this several months after the beginning of the special military operation and more sanctions being made effective. Not to waste your time, I would like to briefly tell you what the video is going to be about. First, I'd like to say that, yeah, definitely the life has changed here, some things have worsened, but it is like nothing to compare with somebody losing their families, losing their own lives, losing their houses. So this video today is just to show what is happening right now in Russia, and definitely not saying that look how bad or not that bad or whatever the things are. And the second thing about today's video is that unlike many videos that people made, including myself, in the shopping malls or in the center of Moscow, we are today in the regular neighborhood, in the very outskirts in Moscow, and I'd like to share the regular life of Russians, the way that I see it here. And at the same time talk about the topic of today's video. What I like about the outskirts of Moscow is that we have a lot of districts with small parks or big parks, but there is a lot of green in the city, and Moscow is definitely not a concrete jungle. The amount of people is the same as usual. Now it is Sunday and maybe everybody should be walking, but it is very hot. A lot more people will come in the evening time. At first glance it is impossible to see that something has changed because the people are walking, kids are playing, and there is some entertainment here. So the main question is what has actually changed, and for that we need to deep dive. Groceries are indeed a very important type of expenses, but I can tell you that for a family man, and by the way, I'm 28, I have 2 kids, I have a mortgage, a very important type of expense is the accommodation. Yes, and many people, especially nowadays, young families, they don't have their own apartments, so they have a choice. Either they rent an apartment or they take a mortgage. Size of the expenses of cost of renting a flat or having a mortgage is more or less the same, at least for the type of flats that I was looking for back in the days. So for me it was always a question like, why should you rent a place when you can actually pay the same amount of money and in the end get an asset? But of course it is understandable, some people want to live here and then to live there, so okay. Getting back to mortgages, the thing is that the prices did not change in case if you already had a mortgage. In Russia we usually don't have this kind of flexible rate, and usually you just pay a certain amount of money per month. So in this case one of the main areas of expenses was not affected. If we're talking about renting, for example, here is a different situation because of course the prices can change, but in this situation I didn't see much change as well, because I think that the landlords understand that people now have less money or they don't want to spend more money, so they actually save more or less the rent prices. Because recently I checked the rent price for 2-bedroom apartment and I understood that actually the average level is quite the same as it was 3-4 years ago. The last thing about the apartment is the utilities, gas, water, electricity and all that, but as well the prices are quite the same. I mean, not actually the prices, yeah, but the tempo of rise of the prices is actually the same, nothing abnormal here as well. Let's now go to a more modern neighborhood and continue our conversation there. I'm right now looking for a rental scooter, but to finish that apartment topic, yeah, either you are renting or you're having a mortgage. Like, usually in Russia you can pay up to 50% of your income. Like, this is normal. I know that some people pay less, some people pay more. Me personally, I pay 50% of my income for the utilities and for the mortgage payments. So overall I can say that at least 50% of my budget was not affected. And so we are right now in the more modern neighborhood. The houses here were built about several years ago and everything looks fresh, everything looks nice and clean, but you know, the concept of these houses is quite criticized. We have a special word in Russian, which is человейник, which comes from человек, human, and муравейник, the ant house. Yeah, it's like a big house where people live like ants. But to be honest, I think it's a bit exaggerated. Just compare it to the way people live in Hong Kong, for example. Yeah, I think the situation is a lot worse there. The next topic we have now are 2 small things, small businesses and small kids. As for the businesses, as you may see, on the ground floors there are a lot of different places, a lot of different shops, and some extra baby clubs and there is a lot of things open. I think that some shops did close, but instead new have been opened. So overall, some business activity is still in place. Usually in neighborhoods like this, you need to have something of the first necessities, some grocery shops or some pharmacies, and the majority of the products that are being sold in these places, they are Russian made. So despite the fact that we don't have import of some things, still the shops are being able to operate. Maybe right now, if you have watched this video up to this point, you have an idea that I'm trying to tell you that everything is great here and we are not affected. The point is that what I'm trying to show actually is that no, we were affected and businesses are affected and some businesses close, lose money and etc. The thing is that people still manage to find some ways to continue their operation. And there is nothing bad in this. Everybody is a family man. Everybody has to deliver for his or her family. Being a family man myself, I understand that it is very important to deliver. If people have an opportunity to continue to deliver despite all the situation, this can only provoke, some happiness and admiration, at least for me. And now talking about kids. By the way, I'm right now on the playground, quite an interesting one. Let me show you what I see. I'm standing on top of the platform here, which as well has some entertainment. Kids, of course, are a very important part of the budget, let's call it like this. And what are the main expenses for the kids? Well, of course, education, and we are talking about the kindergarten or schools. There are a lot of state public schools and they are free. Like the only thing that you have to pay for is some meals and maybe a uniform, and basically that's it. So in many cases there is no monthly fee for the education. In some cases they are, but they're just very small ones. And in Russia it is common to get extra benefits if you have 3 or more kids. If I remember correctly, the uniform and the food that I have mentioned, they are for free for all the kids in a family. What do kids need? They need to eat, that's groceries, and we'll get back to that a bit later, but as well some clothes. Well, actually there are a lot of places to buy some more or less cheap clothes. If you are not running after some brands, some of which have just left Russia or, for example, increased their prices, then you are not in that big problem. Because basically you can buy some things. Like, once again, we are talking about the first necessities. It's not about having a new dress every single day, 365 times a year. So overall, I don't see this as a big problem. I think the biggest change that me and my wife have faced is the change in price of diapers. So the price of diapers has actually just... But I guess all the prices, they are more or less going down back to the previous levels. They are not there yet, but once again, they are decreasing. The last thing to say here is where kids can spend their time. And this is just basically the playgrounds, and I think that if you're watching my channel for quite a while, you have seen a lot of playgrounds already. We have a really good infrastructure here in Moscow, at least. If we're talking about the regions, to be honest, they are implementing more and more things for kids in the infrastructure of the city. If you saw my video about the city of Engels 1 year ago, I showed that there was a new park and some new places were opened. Of course, the speed, the tempo of all this development is a lot lower than in Moscow, but still some things change. Will these playgrounds be affected by sanctions? Well, maybe the production costs will get higher, because metal, because of some transportation, something else, whatever, and the playgrounds will eventually become more simple, than the ones that we see nowadays. But I think that kids are one of the priority types of expenses that our budget has, because once again, for the recent years, there has been a lot of development in this area. So the idea of this interesting thing is that you first pump some water there, it gathers up here, and then you just open the fence and the water goes further. Let's take a look. So some water is coming from there, and now the water goes further to the next spot, and somebody is swimming. Just take a look at this slide. They say Russians are crazy, you know why? Take a look at how we raise our kids. Joking. So there are several ladders to get to the top. I will not go there because I'm too big for that. If these things were in my neighborhood, oh man, I would spend the whole day here climbing this. More water there, some trampoline. Nice. Now let's go to the next neighborhood, probably even more modern than this one. Psych, I'm in a grocery store. It was just on the way, so I decided to take a look what is happening here. And by the way, yeah, a lot of products. I don't see like empty shelves. We'll take a quick look on what is happening here, but overall, like, I don't see any shortage. What I would want to check now is the availability of some first necessity products like sugar and flour. Well, a pallet of sugar, a pallet of flour, and yeah, even more. Sugar. By the way, talking about the prices, like 1 kilogram, 67 rubles, so it was about 90, and a lot of flour, different types of flour. And I guess the last thing that I'd like to check is whether there is any Coca-Cola left. So I see some 7-Up. This looks like cola, but this is Bela Cola? Bela, like coming from Belarus? Yeah, correct, maybe you don't see it, but from Belarus. And do they have any regular cola left? Looks like one, yeah, but I don't see the regular one. So this one is Coca-Cola Zero without any sugar. Instead of Coca-Cola, now there is Cool Cola. Instead of Fanta, there is Fancy. And instead of Sprite, it's Street. I just arrived to our last location for today, and this is another neighborhood outskirts of Moscow, not the downtown. Actually, all the neighborhoods that I was showing to you, they are all beyond the Moscow ring road or circle road, if you know what I'm talking about. But again, we are in Moscow. Of course, it's understandable that in the regions you will not see that big amount of modern neighborhoods, but I personally saw several new apartment blocks, neighborhoods being built in the regions as well. The modernization of infrastructure and buildings, it is slowly but still moving to the regions. The key word is slowly. What do we have left? Talking about the family budget, we already talked about the accommodation, about kids, and I just showed that we don't have problems with supplies. If we're talking about the groceries, yeah, some products, they go away, but it doesn't mean that you have nothing to eat or to drink. No. This is a very important thing to understand for everyone, including some Russians. Thinking about some brands leaving, etc., I don't think that it is that important. The only important thing about this is the places to work for the regular people, yeah. But that is it. Some brands leaving, some services being switched off. It is all about the comfort. So yeah, we cannot use Apple Pay, we cannot do some other stuff. But this is not something that important in life. I want everybody to understand that. If you have your own apartment, or at least an opportunity to rent one, if you have food, if you have water, you are already richer than the half of the population of this world. Everything on top is comfort. Being able to travel somewhere is comfort. And by the way, not that many Russians used to be able to travel somewhere outside of Russia, even inside Russia, if you know what I mean. Even before all this situation, the average budget of a family, especially the family in the regions, yeah, it was about accommodation, food, and some minor other expenses, clothes, I don't know, gas for the car, and that's it. People, I mean the majority of people, were never able to save up a lot of money, yeah, to have some savings, yeah. So all the news about not being able to convert this USD euro operations, not able to buy and sell USD, this actually affects a very small amount of people. If we're talking about businesses, yeah, definitely it's a different story. But talking about the regular people, not that much. I do believe that in the future the things will be worse though, yeah, because many business processes, people don't know how business processes work, like production, other stuff. If we're talking about hardware, software, and everything that is being engaged in products and services production. And all of this gradually will lead to another price increase and to more jobs lost and to more problems. The only question is how much time this will take. The idea of today's video is once again just to show what is happening here without extra dramatizing or saying that everything is great. I'm just showing how it is here right now. My point of view is that we definitely don't live badly now. Yeah, the situation has worsened. Yeah, some people have lost their jobs, and in some particular cases the situation is really bad. If I lose the job, for example, I don't know what I will do. My situation will be bad as well because I have a mortgage, etc. If you have where to live, if you have food, if you have your family with you, This is the most important thing. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel to see more, and if you want some extra content, join me on Patreon. But of course, make sure that if you have an opportunity, first help those who are in more need. Let's stay human and think about humans like ourselves. It was Zangieff, your Russian mate from Russia. See you next time. Bye.